Are you looking for the best exercises to help you run faster, be more explosive, and improve your sprint speed? Well, today I'm going to walk you through the top 7 exercises to do just that. Hey there, Brandon Spilley here from Thirst Gym, and today I'm going to walk you through my top 7 exercises to help you be more explosive and improve your sprint speed and run faster. These 7 exercises are going to be highly specific towards improving your acceleration and your power and getting up to speed. So if you're wanting to improve your speed, make sure these 7 exercises are at some point in your training programs so you can maximize your running speed. Let's talk about them. All right, the first exercise we're going to talk about here is the Bulgarian split squat, or the rear foot elevated split squat. Now, I've hammered this exercise on almost every athletic video that I do, and that's because the Bulgarian split squat is proven to make you faster. It's going to improve the strength of your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads, and be in that single leg stance. But if we specifically want to make sure we're focusing on our sprint performance or our acceleration, what we're going to do differently with this exercise is focus on our torso angle and then how we're controlling the repetitions. So I'm just going to use 2 dumbbells here, but you can use kettlebells, barbell on your back, doesn't really matter. The loading potential is up to you, but we want that back foot up on the bench, chest is tall, but we're going to control the eccentric with 3 seconds. So 1001, 1002, 1003, and then explode up. 1001, 1002, 1003, explode up. Trying to be fast with each single rep is going to help us improve that acceleration piece, and then going down with that eccentric is going to make sure we're really loading up those glutes and hamstrings and then come up explosively. So we're going to try to create that tension on those hamstrings and those glutes so that we can get more muscle and more strength out of them. The other thing is we want to make sure that we're also a little bit more forward. Typically when you do a split squat, you're usually somewhat upright. We want to make sure we're actually leaning forward a little bit as we go to do this, because if you check this bottom position, this is going to mimic my sprinting mechanics. So big thing here, load these up heavy, 5 to 6 reps on each leg with that 3-second eccentric, and being as explosive as you possibly can with every single rep. And this is going to be a surefire way to help improve your sprint speed. All right, the second exercise I love is the kickstand hex bar deadlift. Now, the reason I love this exercise is that, one, we can work on a single leg pattern again, because that's incredibly important when we're trying to be faster, more explosive, improve our sprint speed. But more importantly, it's a concentric only, so it's going to work on rate of force development. And what that means is that we're going to work on how fast we can produce force into the ground from a dead stop position. Because anytime you actually go to take off from sprint, you're usually starting from a stop position. So this is really going to hammer that acceleration point, that first 5-10 yards of your sprinting. The other great thing about this is that we can focus on both legs, so we can focus on either lead leg, and we can load this exercise up pretty hard. So for the kickstand aspect, we're gonna have one leg forward, other leg is gonna be back on my toe here, keep my chest tall, my arms long. Whatever leg is forward, that's gonna be the leg I'm emphasizing. So my front leg is actually gonna do the work. My rear leg is going to be a support leg. It's gonna give me a little bit more balance and stability so I can place more load through that front leg. So I'm keeping my chest tall, grab the handles down here, always make sure I'm staying nice and vertical, pushing through my whole foot and still being explosive. And then I would switch legs and do the other thing. With this exercise, we can push this super heavy. So we can do this from 3 to 5 reps on each side, as heavy as we possibly can, as long as we're maintaining proper technique. Or we can do this for speed, as I kind of demonstrated. So if we want to focus on just that rate of force development, not so much the strength aspect, you can lighten the load a little bit and still make sure you're pushing as fast as possible. Again, we still want to be somewhat in that hinged position as we go to sprint, because you can see how this would mimic my sprint mechanics, and that's going to help improve my strength and that starting power. When you're doing this exercise, I would recommend about from 3 to 5 sets of, again, about 3 to 5 reps on each leg, trying to maximize the amount of weight that you can with every single rep. All right, exercise number 3 is going to be an Anderson barbell split squat. So what that means is we're gonna take the barbell, we're gonna place it in the pins of our rack. And this, again, is gonna work on rate of force development, how fast you can be off of one leg, but we can also, again, load this up pretty heavy. The other benefit about this is because it's a concentric only exercise, it's going to limit muscle soreness. So if you happen to be in season or trying to really enhance your performance in the middle of track season or in the middle of soccer season, basketball season, this is a great way to continue to develop that speed without the muscle soreness, so you can continue to practice and train hard. So you're gonna take your barbell in your rack, and then what you wanna do is get in a half kneeling position or in a split squat position. Ideally you want your pins up a little bit higher than 90 degrees. And the reason, again, is we want to mimic those angles of our sprinting. So as you can tell here, this would be the bottom of my split squat. The barbell's not even on my back. So I'm gonna come up into the barbell, place it onto my back, stay in that split stance or lunge position, and then be as explosive as I can. Off the rack. Making sure the weight comes to a dead stop every time. So what we don't want to do is bounce it off the rack here, let it come to a stop, reset, boom. Being explosive every single time, obviously doing both legs. Again, because we're working on rate of force development, we want to keep our reps on the lower end. 3 to 5 reps on each leg for anywhere from 3 to 5 sets. You can load this up relatively heavy. You can keep it somewhat moderate to being explosive like I was. You can also hook up bands, chains, lots of different ways you can use this exercise to work on the acceleration and that speed component to help you be a better athlete. Exercise number 4 that I love is the hand-supported single leg dumbbell RDL. Now, the reason I love this exercise over just say a regular single leg dumbbell RDL is the hand-supported option is going to give us a little bit more stability, which is going to increase our loading potential so we can really load those glutes and those hamstrings. So find something you can hold on to. One dumbbell, even a kettlebell works. You're going to have on the opposite leg that you're standing on. You're going to keep your chest as tall as you can, and then we're going to push our hips back and then come nice and tall. Meeting that dumbbell with our hips, really trying to get as long as we can, as long as my back stays flat and neutral. I don't want to arch my back. Chest is tall, reaching long, feeling that in my glutes and my hamstrings. Now again, this is a very heavy eccentric based exercise, so I would recommend doing this in the off season or time that you're not having crazy amount of sprinting volumes or competitions. And we can go relatively heavy with this. So 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 10 reps per side, really focusing on that big stretch in the glute and the hamstring. Make sure you do both sides. Notice if you got any kind of imbalances, you can spend a little bit more time there and maybe do an extra couple reps or a couple extra sets throughout the course of the week, and it can help bring up that lagging leg if you happen to have a deficit-based leg that you're noticing is a little weaker than the other side. All right, the next exercise I love is sled dragging, but making sure we're staying toe heavy. So I got myself strapped up to a sled with moderate weight. We want this somewhat heavy, but we also don't want it like, feel like we're dragging through mud. We also want to make sure that I can stay on my toes here because we're going to mimic our acceleration phase. So we're basically going to be marching in place, dragging that weighted sled as heavy as we possibly can with good technique, staying on our toes here, okay? As you can tell, I want to make sure I'm emphasizing that forward lean. So I'm really leaning forward into the weight here, and I'm going to make sure that I'm using my arms, staying on my toes, and coming up forward. Knees are always driving up nice and high, always staying leaning forward at that like 45-degree angle as I would go to actually take my sprint, and I'm just going to keep driving those knees up, staying on my toes. What I recommend here is you do this for about 10 to 15 yards per repetition. Again, staying on those toes, really trying to march and lean forward. Again, heavy-ish weight, but only so that you can stay on your toes. We don't want to make sure that we're coming flat on our heels. It's a different sled dragging variation, not a bad thing, but if we're really trying to focus on just our acceleration, staying forward, staying on the balls of our toes, this variation is going to be what does it for you to work on that first 5 to 10, maybe even 15 yards of your acceleration aspect of your speed. Load this up, do this anywhere from 3 to 5 sets of 10 to 15 yards, really emphasizing that toe drive, knee coming up from the front side mechanics, and you will get faster from this exercise. Exercise number 6 is going to be the good old-fashioned glute ham raise. Now, I've talked about this exercise a lot. This is a great posterior chain developing exercise. If you can do glute ham raises, you're going to be stupid strong, and you're also going to be stupid fast. So what you're going to do is get your feet in here, knees on the pad, chest is tall. We also want to make sure our toes are pushed into that pad really nice and strong. Can feel my glutes, can feel my hamstrings. Hands can come across my chest, by my side, across my head. All depends about how hard you want to make the exercise, but to start with your hands down by your side. You're going to let your legs get as straight as you possibly can, and then you're going to yank yourself up with those hamstrings. Control yourself, legs straight, explosively pull up. Okay, we want to make sure we're explosive as we can, really focusing on those hamstrings doing all the work. And the reason I like the glute ham raise is that we're training the hamstrings at both the knee and the hip joint. So we get to train that important sprinting muscle at both joints because it crosses both joints, and we get to integrate those together just as we would go to when we run. When it comes to implementing this into your training program, I would recommend doing 3 to 5 sets of as many as you can. If you happen to struggle with this exercise, I'll have a link in the description box below of any way that you can progress your glute ham raise so that you can make sure that you're doing them properly but have other alternatives if you can't do them. So make sure you're doing your glute hams. All right, the last exercise, and probably the best exercise, is going to be the inverse curl or the Nordic curl. Now, this is just a machine that assists you just like a Nordic hamstring curl would, but we got some weight over here as a counterbalance and this assistance arm so I can get a full range of motion and with assistance. Now, the difference between the Nordic curl and or the inverse curl versus the glute ham raise is that my knee is locked in position on this pad, where on the glute ham raise, my knee was allowed to move and I was able to swivel, which makes the exercise easier. So as you'll notice, I will struggle with this exercise much more than with the glute ham raise. But regardless of whether you're doing an inverse curl or a Nordic curl, the movement is the exact same. We just have this awesome machine to make it easier for our athletes to get the technique right. So I'm gonna hold onto the pad, but otherwise just pretend like this pad's not here. You would just drop your body all the way down, just control as much as you can, and then pull yourself up with those hamstrings. I can already feel that here. Down, pull. Control, legs gotta get straight. Feel that deep in my hamstring, and back up. So again, I love this exercise for overall improving hamstring strength for sprinting and being explosive. If you just have Nordics, just do as many as you can, controlling the eccentric and then getting somebody to help you up or push yourself back up. If you happen to have a machine like this, awesome. Make sure you load this bad boy up for 5 to 8 reps, going relatively heavy. You can also do these for higher reps in the off season at the end of a training session, say for 10 to 15 reps. It's gonna really build that tissue of your hamstrings. But generally I like to do these heavy year-round for all my sprinters and runners, and we have not had any kind of hamstring issues, and I do believe it's because of this. And we have found that all of our athletes are getting faster every single year that we work with them, and this is one machine that they become best friends with. And there you have it. There are my 7 strength exercises to improve. You're gonna run faster, be more explosive, and be a faster sprinter and help your speed, whether it be the basketball court, volleyball court, track, soccer, doesn't matter. It's gonna help you be faster. If you happen to like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, leave me a comment, share with a friend, subscribe. All that really helps me. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you at the next video.